years I've heard with Marco and the credit cards, when he was in the Senate, when he was doing whatever he was doing and he was involved with the Republican Party. For years I've heard about Marco and his credit cards. And I'll be honest with you, I think that he's got a problem there. You know, he had to put money back. They found things, and maybe he made amends, maybe he didn't. But how are you allowed to make amends at a later date?
Donald Trump on MSNBC's Morning Joe earlier today blasting Marco Rubio and his credit history, calling it a disaster. Now Senator Rubio is fighting back, saying he finds it ironic that the only candidate to go bankrupt 4 times is criticizing anyone on finances. So is this a full-blown political war between Rubio and Trump? Let's talk about it with our panel. Joining us via Skype from Nashville, Tennessee, you have Scottie Nell Hughes, and from Washington, Republican strategist Bradley Blakeman. Our thanks to you both. So, Scottie Nell, are Trump's concerns over Rubio's finances a fair criticism?
It is a fair criticism, JD, but this is also something that I think Senator Rubio can use to his advantage. Listen, Senator Rubio, the majority of the reason why he's in so much debt is he had to put 4 of his kids in parochial schools, mainly because of Jeb Bush and his Common Core institutions, both in Florida and now in Washington, D.C. So I think this is something that Marco can use to relate to a lot of Americans, as the majority of us are having these same issues that have faced the Rubio family.
So it's interesting, Brad, there is Scottie Nell doing a triangulation, saying Marco ought to wrap Jeb into this thing. Is it smarter, Bradley, just to have this fight concentrate on Trump and respond with that bankruptcy charge?
Yeah, absolutely. The average voter, especially Republicans, are going to have sympathy for Marco Rubio, who is struggling just like they are, to put their kids through college, to make a mortgage payment. They certainly can identify more with Marco than they can do with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, by his own admission, has used the laws to his advantage, and he went bankrupt, and then he said, you know what, I made a lot of money from going bankrupt. And these are professional bankruptcies versus personal bankruptcies. But he lost his airline, he lost his yacht, he almost lost his casinos, and he made very bad business judgments, which is the reason his businesses went bankrupt.
Yeah, here's the difference, though. What's happening is you have a situation where Michael Savage pointed out something about Marco, and that is this kind of reversal on illegal immigration. Let's take a listen to what Savage said last night right here on Newsmax TV's Steve Malzberg show.
The ice cream man from Miami, Rubio. They found the guy with an O next to his name. They made him a senator. Now they want to make him a president. Look at Rubio. The man is an open borders guy. Take a look at who's behind him. Billionaire Republican Sheldon Adelson. Billionaire Democrat Larry Ellison. Both back Rubio. Why? They both want cheap labor.
Now, that is something, Brad, that concerns a lot of people. Marco switching back and forth, amnesty, then saying it's a mistake, and his backers being open borders guys.
Well, look, Sheldon Adelson is not pulling Marco's strings. Either is any other person who's invested in his campaign, just like every other donor has made a donation to his campaign. There's no quid pro quo with Marco Rubio. I'll tell you that. I know the guy. And the fact is, immigration is a tough issue. It's been a tough issue for Republicans and for Democrats. And the one thing about immigration, it's true for both sides, is we haven't been able to solve the problem.
Well, yeah, and the question becomes, how do you solve the problem? And conservative voters, Scottie Nell, don't want to solve it with amnesty, and they've been getting mixed signals from Marco.
Absolutely. And you know what, Senator Rubio, if he would not have joined the Gang of Eight bill, I think this would be a totally different political situation. He would be at the top of the polls, as most conservatives go. I like Marco Rubio. He had one of the top Heritage Action scorecard ratings until this Gang of Eight bill, and that's what brought him to the bottom. So I think what you're seeing right now is damage control. Senator Rubio yesterday on Fox came out and said, I believe we should enforce the laws that are on the books as it is. And I think, JD, you and I will agree, yes, we do, because those laws do talk about deportation of illegals, building a wall. We're just not enforcing it. So you're right. I think there is a little bit of a bait and switch going, but it's more of a damage control on behalf of the Rubio campaign.
What about it? Marco is, Brad, he is very good on television. He said he made a mistake with amnesty. Do you think he ought to go a step further and say, let's enforce the laws on the books? We got about 30 seconds.
Look, we should enforce those laws which are enforceable on the books. But one thing is for sure. Look, Obama promised in his first inaugural address to tackle immigration reform. He's done nothing in 7 years. It's about time we did something, and I think Marco has got a common sense approach to get that done.
Well, now, when you say we should enforce the laws that are enforceable,
yes.
that I got to tell you, Brad, I'll give you 15 seconds. That sounds like a cop and a plea for amnesty.
No, look,
Exactly.
I'm an attorney. We cannot round up 12 million people. It's not right morally. It's
not right to enforce the laws. Look, this is something we will have to continue.
But we're complicit in them being here. We turned a blind eye.
Thank you. We'll call it right there. We'll bring you back. Brad Blakeman, Scottie Nell Hughes, we thank you for your time. There's more ahead.